Hello, man. Hello, MGTOWs. Hello, Joey. Hello, JK. Hello, everybody out there. Everybody that's going to watch or listen or do those things.
Hello, man.
I'll do this
Hello,
quick sound
Monkgtow.
chest here.
Hello, Joey. Hello, JK. Hello, everybody out there.
I'm just trying to get my channel together. So I did it in two parts today, I guess. I'll probably do one for the next few days just so everybody knows I'm back over here again. Um, What we're going to talk about is that old common question, what is MGTOW and what is not MGTOW? And it's more what is not MGTOW that's pertinent in this question. Since the inception of MGTOW, I think we've all heard the phrase, it's blue pill or red pill. What would describe a blue pill man? What would describe a red pill man? Well, for MGTOW, we all know that red pill man is a more enlightened. He thinks about things different. He does his research. He's more pragmatic. This sort of things. Some people would vary from that description of a MGTOW. We have a very good description of MGTOW up and around MGTOW, what it says on Wikipedia and what it says on MGTOW forums and those things. But one of the predictable criteria for Mgtow is whether he's traditional or not, a traditional male. But what is a traditional male? The word traditional from its inception is an adjective, and it's traditional. We often get, oh, you're a traddy, you're a tradcon, you're a traditional male. Tradcon would be traditional conservative. A traddy would just mean traddy. It's a pejorative, I suppose. A traditional male is sort of wrong because it's an adjective, and male is descriptive of traditional? No. Traditional is descriptive of the male, men doing traditional things. Yeah, that's the way it works. Traditional relies on the next few works. They're modifiers, I suppose. Yes, I'm pretty good at English, I suppose. Traditional gender roles, traditional relationships, traditional avenues in which men use, traditional social schemes, and stuff like that. But what is that one traditional thing that we say is not a MGTOW? We have to think about that. Sometimes we do have to think about who is MGTOW, who is pretending, who's a plastic MGTOW. By the way, Shining Light, we'll give him credit for that, plastic MGTOW. Yes, are acting in a traditional way. Men of tradition. What is that thing that nails it down? Do you know? Do I know? Does anybody really know? We use a red pill or a blue pill reference. You can take the red pill or you can take the blue pill. Choose which one you want. The red pill will wake you up. Listen to the things we say. They are very unconventional. So being a MGTOW, in my opinion, would be being untraditional. But what is untraditional? A single bachelor may seem like he's untraditional to a married person. Getting married, acting in religious ritual ways is very traditional. When we look at the we look at what society believes traditional is, they always come up with this image, this this thing that is like Mr. Cleaver, Wally Beaver, Ward Cleaver, or and he's traditional. He has a traditional wife, a traditional family. He has the traditional picket fence, the big lie. The big lie. Someone asked me about the big lie. What is the big lie that they use? Well, traditionalism is the big lie. The big lie, in case you didn't know, was a lie that the Jewish community used on Hitler to describe why Hitler lost the war. It was the big lie. I can't remember what the name of. There's a book out called The Big Lie. Someone informed me of yesterday, but I didn't know what the big lie is. And what is the big lie around MGTOW? Well, the big lie is traditionalism, traditional roles, traditional gender roles. I don't think so. I think I'm a traditional gender rolled male. So we got to throw that one out. If you're in MGTOW, do you have to resist against traditional gender roles or traditional masculinity? No, I think traditional masculinity is what breaks the mold of a MGTOW and the rest of the world, because we know that most of them are effeminate males and the world wants them to be effeminate males. So traditional masculinity and traditional gender roles kind of breaks the mold here. Traditional relationships, no marriage. Being a bachelor. Is being a bachelor, does that qualify you for MGTOW? Well, I would think not. Is it untraditional to be a bachelor? Not really. A bachelor just means that you're not willing to get married, and it doesn't even really mean that. It just means you're not married, looking for a marriage. A bachelor can still be looking for a marriage. So traditional in that sense would be a traditional bachelor just looking for a marriage. It's a social scheme. It's a religious scheme. Like I say, it's a ritual. It's a ritual of the past that just gets handed down. You act in a traditional way. Men acting in a traditional way. Ooh, now that there explains more. What are the traditional ways? Well, you grow up, you go to school, you go K1 to K12, you graduate, you go to college, you hang around with friends. You're expected at some point to start dating, start being married, get with getting married. Some traditional things include rings and gifts. Acting those ways would be considered traditional. Dating is traditional because it is a ritual, traditional way of working up to that marriage. That's very traditional. You ask her out, you present her with a ring or some token of your appreciation. You treat her good. There are steps you have to take, bases you have to get to. But it still doesn't explain what traditional is. Most of the time in MGTOW, we throw the word around like it's a baseball. Some people would accuse me of being traditional because I'm a traditional masculine male, though that's ridiculous. But like I said, it's an objective. Traditional is an objective. When you say traditional men, it's poor English. What is a traditional male is better to English, but we have to go look from the women. What is a traditional male? So I look at an article, why traditional men make better husbands, and they seem to think traditional precedes being a husband. So let's look at that, because that could explain what they want out of us, what women want. Oh, and is it always defined by a marriage? Is it always defined by being filtered through what women want? No, of course not. What I would say in that situation, being untraditional would be not defining yourself through a woman's opinion. There we go. That's being MGTOW, defining yourself as yourself, what you want, not through a traditional marriage. The first thing I see is a traditional man sticks it out in rough times. Oh, wait a second, self-sacrifice. Traditional men self-sacrifice. They don't run away from home. This woman's funny, so deal with me, and I'll try to let you know when I'm reading from her. Sometimes I don't do that thing very well. She says, sticking her out during tough times, you have to sacrifice. Tough times will come, and yes, they will if you're married. I know that one. They don't run away from home after the honeymoon phase of marriage is over and really sets in. They hold you and comfort. They hold you and your comfort. Oh, wait a second. Yes, traditional men do that. Traditional is that. They hold women in their comfort above all. So, not holding women in their comfort above all would be untraditional. So, that would make you a Mgtow, sort of, or it'd be one of the criterium, I don't know, of being a Mgtow. They take care of you when you're sick, she thinks. So, not taking care of women in those ways would make you untraditional. Well, let's look at some more through this woman's point of view. And it's just this woman's point of view. They know how to be good fatherly figures to children. That's what she thinks. A traditional man teaches right and wrong. I think any father teaches right and wrong. And is teaching right and wrong being traditional? I think I teach right and wrong, and I'm not traditional. Well, let's keep reading here. The traditional man, he teaches his children right and wrong, but that's based on something after marriage. So I guess what she's saying is traditional men have children, raised them in a clean lifestyle, teaches them self-control. Well, I'm Mgtow, and I like self-control. I like the self-control not to acquiesce to women and not be traditional. This is getting ridiculous, isn't it? They show both male and female children. Ooh, what's the next generation of men should be like? I found that quite funny. He also reads to them and plays with them. These are roles here, aren't they? These are predetermined roles by females for you. Read to the children, teach them things, teach them self-control, teach them clean lifestyles. Well, if a man does all of that, I guess we really wouldn't need women, and that would be very untraditional. Let's look at this next one. They will put your comfort before theirs. Oh, that's a big one. We call them the simps. Being a simp is very traditional male. The traditional man will make sure that you are covered from the rain outdoors when it's raining, she says, even if it means he gets soaking wet. Oh, yeah, guys, like that's really going to happen. He also makes sure to be gentle and listens to you physically and listens to your cues, she says. A traditional male listens to your cues. Well, we call that a simp. So being a simp is traditional, and being unsimp, a man that doesn't listen to a woman's cues, doesn't acquiesce through a woman's, doesn't get married, doesn't do those things, doesn't even involve himself within a ritual dating situation. Now we see the men out there all the time that well, they have a different opinion on what Mgtow is. So we're trying to distinguish what Mgtow is and what Mgtow is not. What is not a Mgtow? What do you think is not a Mgtow? Men are natural. Traditional men, she says, are natural leaders. Well, other men could be natural leaders. It doesn't mean they're traditional. And what is really traditional? You know how a man, here we go, I'll read it for you. They know how a man is, they know how I, they know how to be a man and expect you to be a woman. Ooh, yeah, I expect a woman to be ladylike, non-aggressive, stuff like that. I guess that makes me traditional. Huh. No, this can't possibly be true. I have a lot of expectations for women, and their expectations that I have are being reliable, living up to their side of the deal, stuff like that, accountability and responsibility, not forgiving them for that. That would be a Mgtow thing to do. Say to a woman to be accountability and responsibility. So I guess in this case, a Mgtow, the untraditional way to be a Mgtow, because we're talking about on tradition, not tradition, defying tradition, these things, is not being a pushover. A lot of the men I see around here are big pushovers. They say one BJ away. They're always telling you how their life revolves around getting that, doing very traditional things. So I guess that's not Mgtow. But what really is Mgtow? That's the big question here. That's the question I have. Do you guys have any idea what determines a Mgtow? Put them in the low bar so I can see them and we'll talk about them. Being traditional male sometimes can be or can't be a Mgtow. What her expectations are of you, well, that's her expectations. What do we determine those things? I always say, those things that I see, you know a Mgtow when you see a Mgtow. And I see a lot of Mgtows around here. What Mgtows do you know when you see? What are those things that you look for in a Mgtow? Not a simp, not a traditional male, not a white knight. Most women would think that men are supposed to white knight. This woman says that she knows that men, they should know how to fix things around the house. Ceiling plaster, clogged pipes, that's a man's job. Well, them seem like roles again. There's a lot of roles that men have to fill. Your lock gets stuck. You got to know how to fix that for her. Your lawnmower breaks. Do you see how she's talking? Her lawnmower, her ceiling, her pipes, her locks. Chances are traditional men, she says, will be able to fix all those things. So a traditional man is a utility. He's a fixer. He's a maintenance man. Doesn't seem quite right. He's a utility for her property. Once you get married, I suppose, it's all her property, and that's the way she thinks. According to this woman that wrote this article, it's her lawnmower, it's her locks, it's her stuff, it's her house. You're just living there. You're just going to fix it. You're a utility. Yeah, we say that a lot. Don't be a utility for the female. I look around Mgtow, and sometimes men violate that. Being a utility, being a tool. What's the next thing she says? And this is probably the most important. She says they are natural protectors. The traditional husband wants to keep you safe from predators, grrr, natural disasters, and people would want to do you harm. People that would want to do you harm. I think most feminists, well, most of those kind of girls, most people want to do them harm. Yeah, I guess that would be important for her. When he gives you unsolicited advice, she says, on how to handle potentially threatening situations. Oh, so the protector and provider, she didn't really bring up the provider. Be a strong, independent girls that have jobs, huh? Jobs that pay equally to males. She says the traditional man still exists out there somewhere in the wonderland. Usually he has had a strong fatherly figure and was raised in a steady, healthy household. So, in her idea, a traditional family, a traditional household is what she wants. And I guess that would preclude you if you want those things. Yes, that would preclude you. Do you have to be raised in a household with a strong fatherly figure to be traditional? Well, I suppose that I was raised with a strong fatherly figure, and I'm about as MGTOW as can be. I'm very untraditional. I don't want to get married. I don't date. I don't acquiesce to their wishes. All those things. But we'll get back to what this video is about. What is not MGTOW? What do you think is not MGTOW? Simping. A traditional male is most of the time a simp. He does anything for her. White knighting, he protects her. He's got to be a strong male, fend off all those nasty predators out there, because we have lions that'll chase him up a tree out there everywhere in my neighborhood. Strong, confident, yeah, all that stuff. Well, I know a lot of MGTOWs that are strong and confident. They do all those things, but they're not traditional. They don't walk down that traditional avenue. They don't set themselves into traditional schemas. And what this woman was acting is she's setting up traditional schemas so his utility can be used. So when I ask myself that, a traditional male is easily manipulated by women. So if we spot a male that is easily manipulated by women for his use of his utility, his strength, his know-how, he should know how to fix everything. That's what she was saying. And most men do know how to do that. If he's being used for those things, that's when we have to start looking at the modifiers that we use, the way we use these words and sentences. You can't just call someone a traddy or a tradcon because it makes no sense to me. Because, like I said, that's an adjective, that's an adjective. You have to add something to that. You have to add a modifier, but there are a lot of modifiers to add to that. Wow. Makes my head hurt to gender roles, relationships, avenues, social schemes, men acting in traditional ways, traditional politics, traditional sex, men, all them things. So to be a MGTOW, do you have to forego traditional sex? Some of these men take Mgtow too far, to the absurd. Do you have to do it with a doll? No, that would be very untraditional and very Mgtow of you, I suppose. But it's absurd. It's taking something that is normalized into the realm of abnormal, and that becomes an absurdity. But some men believe MGTOWs have to have femininity in their masculinity. They would say that. I guess MGTOW, if you define it that way, would be just for betas. Most of the time, MGTOW is defined by regaining your masculinity, and that's a good question. That's a good statement. A lot of these men say that statement. Defined by regaining your masculinity, because in traditional roles, most of the time, if you do all those things that society says of you and women say of you, that's not generally society. Society really says nothing in those arenas. It's basically females that say a lot of these things. So if you're filtering yourself through the gynocentric sieve, I guess, yeah, that would be considered not MGTOW. Now we hear a lot of the guys say, oh, I need some hugs. Is that traditional? The traditional thought on that is that you need hugs or you will die. Your heart muscle, that metaphysical heart muscle, that pumps the love through your blood, that thing that they can determine will die if you don't get hugs. That's just absurd. So how do we? What are those things? What are those things that make you not a Mgtow? We argue about those things an awful lot in Mgtow. And I think we should think about the things that make you not a Mgtow. Simply saying you're not traditional. There's a lot of traditional things that I do. Go to baseball games. That's very traditional. I work out. That's very traditional. And it doesn't make me not a Mgtow. What I think would make you not a Mgtow is if you dress up like a girl and wear dresses. And that's very untraditional, but it kind of makes you not a Mgtow. Being a homosexual may preclude you from being Mgtow because, well, what could you possibly know about gynocentrism? Then you have become the gynocentric. There's a lot of confusing questions around Mgtow. Often these things we argue about. Some of the arguments are between fashions and groups, and they'll say, oh, Mgtow is not a group. And then they have their own group, and they'll say, well, we're not a group. But I can see the, trees. I can see the trees for the forest. There are groups. Hello, SFM. Did you get off of work or are you driving right now? How you doing today? I hope everybody's doing fine. I was okay today. I almost forgot it was Monday. I hate Mondays sometimes. We went to the beef corral. That was okay. Is going to the beef corral, does that make you a Mgtow? That's traditional, at least in some neighborhoods. I've seen the Amish people there. They're very traditional. I don't think there are a lot of, well, I would think that there's not a lot of things that Amish people and Mgtows have in common. But then I looked at myself and I looked at them today and I didn't see a whole lot of difference. I have a long beard. They have a long beard. I wear a kufi. They wear a hat. Their clothing were a little different, collars with them little vests that they wear. Their women most certainly look different than most of the women around, mostly sundresses with those little ties, with the little hats, the bonnets. The kids were all well dressed, very traditionally. They live in traditional families, very traditional people. Could a Mgtow come from that? I don't know, maybe, and still be respected in the community. What is not a Mgtow? What is a Mgtow? That's a hard question sometimes. We try to determine those things around here so we know who is not a Mgtow and who is a Mgtow, because you kind of want to stay around your friends or people that think like you. And it gets all screwed up around here sometimes. It gets all twisted. Some guys think that doing stuffed animals is Mgtow. Drawing little pictures of little anime girls, 14-year-old girls, that's what they think is Mgtow. Posing themselves as cartoon bears, that's what they think is Mgtow. But it doesn't really relate to a lot of things out there in the real world when I walk out there. Comparatively today, when I seen the Amish walking around and I thought, wow, they are very traditional. Then I looked at the mall surroundings, at the beef corral, and I looked at the heavyweights that were there. There were a lot of heavyweight women. And I thought, well, geez, the whole rest of the world looks traditional compared to them. Kind of put a crimp in what I was thinking about traditional as, because compared to them, they look like the ultimate traditional people from way back in 1700s. They were riding a bus. The bus didn't have no windows in it. And I couldn't wait to make my way over there and talk to them. You know how I am. I'm curious. They're very nice, pleasant, very traditional. So, what are some of the things that would be a predetermining qualification to be Mgtow? Agency, yeah, having your own agency. What is agency? A lot of people ask what agency is. I was watching People of the Earth the other day, and the gray alien wanted to strap the guy down on the table. The box wanted to talk to him and give him a little freedom. And he said, if you give them a little agency, they tend to act better. That's pretty true in life. If you give a person a little agency and a little freedom. So is agency freedom? The freedom to act the way they want, to develop the things that they want. Is that Mgtow? Uniqueness? Being uniquely yourself? Individual? Sometimes individual and uniquely yourself get confused. Agency, having your own agency. Not being strapped down, that's what that would mean. You're not tied down to anything. You have your own agency. A woman's not telling you what to do. A marriage is not predetermining those things that you do. A traditional mating schema or a ritual role would hamper those things. So, doing all that stuff, I suppose, would inhibit your agency, hence making you not a Mgtow. Being more blue pill, as we would put it, that gets all messed up. It gets twisted sometimes in here. Some people take it too far. They talk about sex robots and dolls, and I think that's pretty traditional. I suppose that a celibate man, an abstinent man, would be about the farthest thing away from traditional that there is. Traditional men generally abuse their wives in bed at night. I don't think a MGTOW does that. And if you're doing that, maybe you might want to stop doing that for your own health and have a little respect for her and you. Being celibate, having your own agency, being abstinent. Yeah, them things go together when you're a MGTOW. A lot of MGTOWs have their own agency, live alone. Yeah, most MGTOWs live alone. They have their own agency, their space. They know what soap they want to see in the shower. From everything in the house, from the toilet brush to the air conditioner, is theirs and what they chose in life, not somebody else's. And somebody else surely didn't choose your toothbrush for you. And if somebody else is choosing your toothbrush for you, maybe you're not a MGTOW. So who's in the room? Same old people, I suppose. So that's the question I just wanted to ask today, and I didn't want to go with these ones too far or invite people in or do that thing. And we'll get along with that Sundays here on this channel and talk about things with other men and kind of work my way into this channel. So I'll be doing a lot of these in this upcoming week, just talking about a certain subject. Mainly Mgtow. What is Mgtow? What is expected of Mgtow? If you got a subject, put it in the low bar down there in a comment. If you want me to talk about something this week, put it in the comment. I'll talk about it. Hey, guess what? I'll talk about it for free too. So it's getting the Traversable Mgtow channel back on track. I still have to change the name back. I was going to put Traversable Mgtow because I thought it was just going to be funny. But then people would attack me for the next 3 months before I can live 7-3 over Boston. Indians won. Indians won. Woo! Should be a pretty good playoff this year. That's coming up next month or the end of next month. Next month, we'll get to see baseball whittle down to the final people, and we'll get the wild card. That'll be fun to watch. I pay attention a lot during the summer season, but I like September. The boys of September. Someone today kind of said being a Mgtow is not liking baseball. I guess baseball is real traditional, but I like baseball. You look out in the field, there's 9 men acting as a team. There's no women. They did something very unconventional there. They said no women on the team. So they're untraditional. I like baseball because it has certain rules. It's perfect in its symmetry. I like baseball because it's pure and it's honest and it's always the same. I like baseball because it's masculinity. A lot of Mgtow things in there. I like baseball because I like to keep stats. I like baseball because I like to do predictions about who's going to win and who's not going to win. I've almost got it in my head. I can take a team, look at their players next year, and tell you how many more games or how many less games they're going to win by the caliber of the player. I'm really good at it. My brother calls me every year and he says, "Hey, Joe, what are the Indians going to do this year?" And I'll tell him, "Well, they're going to be 98 and wins." 92 wins, 101 wins, probably going to be 101 wins this year. Baseball's great. Gives me something to do. We have 3 stadiums around here. We have Cleveland Stadium, and we have 2 other stadiums with minor league baseball I get to go see. I can grab a beer, get a hot dog, sit on the shade, watch the game, relax, no one bothering me, no woman yelling at me, get some tacos or some nachos, yell and scream. Sometimes I use foul language. Sometimes I yell at the umpires. Sometimes I yell at the players. And I cheer for a team, the home team preferably. I think it's honorable to do that. And I like baseball. I think it's not anti-Mgtow. I think any man that doesn't like baseball, well, seems kind of weird to me. Such a manly sport. Why wouldn't you like it? Like a lot of sports, I'm a sports fanatic, I suppose. A lot of traditional men are sports fanatics. That doesn't mean I'm not Mgtow because I'm a sports fanatic. So we got to redefine the Mgtow terms to, it would be absurd to say that you like sports, you're not Mgtow. That's absurdity. That's more of that milk apple we talk about that's crept into Mgtow, taking it too far, taking it to the level of absurdity. So if you got anything you want to talk about, just leave it in the low bar. I'll talk about it because I'm going to have to get a lot of subjects this week, kind of get my SEO and people who used to watch me that don't watch me anymore. You usually have between 40 and 70 viewers, but that's all gone because somebody took my right to talk on YouTube. Prison. YouTube prison's not a great place to be in. But it damaged the station. It damaged the channel. And I think that was their end goal. People that censor don't censor for reasons that don't mean anything. They censor for things that mean something to damage the channel. That's what they wanted. But I'll get over it. We'll get back on track. And I'll be tenacious, the same tenacious person I've always been. I guess I'm traditionally tenacious. Does that make me not Mgtow? Nah, don't think so. I think Mgtows most of the time have a courage and a tenaciousness that rise above other men. I think Mgtows are generally more honorable, truthful, masculine. That's what I think a Mgtow is. He knows he has his agency. He doesn't have to show it off by wearing dresses and stuff like that. He can sport a t-shirt and a fishing cap and be fine with what he is. I think most Mgtows know what they are. They do the introspections in their souls. They cut a lot of strings in life that they don't need. People bothering them, manipulating them. They cut those strings very untraditionally. Sometimes this leads to a little isolation until you can find men around you that are palatable. That isolation goes away. I have lots of friends. I don't consider myself needing hugs or I will die. I haven't had a hug in so long. I can't remember the last hug I got, and I'm still alive. Them things are absurd. And with that, I think I'm going to close this thing down, go get some. What did I make? Oh, I made granola today. Very untraditional. Making your own granola. I did something wrong with the heat. And I don't know. I didn't let it go far enough. I have to get a thermometer. Usually I can kind of spot when it turns the color. And then I do the I do Caro syrup and water and sugar. And then I kind of stir it and look at it, and I can spot that certain color that it gets to, because I am a candy maker all in all in some facets of my life. And then I kind of take a spoon and I put a little dab on the and that's what I forgot to do. I was just going too fast and it didn't turn color. And you can look at the side as it splashes up the side, the liquid, it'll start sticking to the side. And then I'll take a dab and I'll put it on there on the counter. It'll cool down in a couple seconds. And if I hit it and it cracks, it's right. Then I'll add my honey and my nuts and whatever I want to put in there. If I want the nuts coated, I'll put it in there. And you can use that same thing if you got Caro syrup, sugar. Um, you can use that with a little honey, and you can make your own honey roasted nuts too. I like to do that once in a while. And it puts a candy coating around them, but you have to wait till it gets real, well, it cracks. I should do a video because not a lot of people can make candy. I know how to make candy. It would make a great video. Candy coated nuts or something. I can do them for you. But that's what I did today with my granola, and I did it a little too soft because even I get in a hurry sometimes. I was looking forward to this, and I got in a hurry. So, yeah, you might want to try it. I don't know. It's a skill. Learn about it. Don't go by the temperature readings. Do what I say. When the sugar and the Caro syrup starts turning a color, and then you put it on the thing and crack it real easy. It's ready, and then you can add your other stuff. Um, then you bring that up to like 316 degrees. That's when you do need I can kind of tell when it's at that boil. I know what it looks like. Uh, but yeah, if you want to try that, that would be very untraditional. It's going galt sort of when you break away from traditional society and you stop using the utilities of other men like other men do. I ask a lot of people in Mgtow that to not be so utilitarian. The utilitarian types will use other men. They they use a lot of things about other men, and then they're usually the ones that are screaming, "You guys are such, you know, you guys are such libbies, liberals, and everything. You want everything handed." But, these same men have other men make their cheese for them, make their sausage for them, make their bread for them. They're making other men into utilities like women would. So when we talk about being traditional and when we think about what that woman was asking, she was asking of other males utilities. When you start doing these things for yourself, even making your own candy, making your own sausage, making your own, whatever. I make kefir for myself. I make my own bread. I make my own sausage. I like doing it. It's telling the rest of the world that I don't need you to rely on you. I'm going galt. And when I'm doing that, I'm taking a little away from society. I'm not so consumerized. And I think that's very untraditional in this time. Traditional would be going to the store and doing all the thing all the other shoppers are doing. So when I hear, well, those MGTOWs over there are talking about cooking, I've got a woman to cook for me. That's very traditional. MGTOW, Mexican MGTOW did that. No, we cook, we talk about it. So I make my own granola and candy. That's very untraditional. I do a lot of untraditional things because I don't use other men's utilities like a bitch would. And with that, thanks for being MGTOW. MGTOW. Keep it up. Have a great day.